They first asked me if I would roast my brother. And I said, that's nice, Trisha's paying attention. And they asked me if I would roast my brother. And I said, how can I roast the best brother anybody could ever have? What's the matter? Say nice things. I do want to, I got three announcements I got to make first. I just caught up in the emotion. That's what happens when I drink. First thing, May 19th, 65th anniversary of our beloved Saints Vartanants. There's flyers on your table. I hope you'll all join us for that wonderful commemoration. May 19th, right, B? Yes. Right, high school. Okay, May 19th, 65th anniversary of Saints Vartanants Church. The other thing I want to bring up on your tables also is next Saturday, the ANCA of New Jersey is sponsoring a joint commemoration. We have the clergy from Saints Vartanants, St. Leon's, and APC. We have recitation by non schools. Our own Rafi Masoyan will play a musical interlude. We have Alex Galitsky from the ANCA speaking. And we also have two congressmen, Congressman Lawler from Rockland County, for those of you from New York, and also Congressman Gottheimer from our district. So we hope you'll all please join us 4 o'clock in Montville next Saturday. It's been a success every year. So please remember May 19th and April 20th. I do want to give one shout out because the last patriarch of the Sarajian family is here with us tonight. He's going to be 94. Uncle Heidi is Richie's godfather. Richie's middle name is Hyde. So I want to give it up for Uncle Heidi being here. I didn't say stand. Uncle Heidi wrote a great book that talks about the silent generation, which many of your grandparents were a part of. It tells our family story. I won't tell that he lied about the time Michael and Richie sprained my ankle. And on page 98, you can hear the story of how my father taught me about sex, but we'll go there. All right, so my brother, he is rich. He is quiet, but he's a bit of a devil inside. He always knows how. Well, I gotta tell you two quick things because the other guys are gonna roast him. But it's tough having a brother that is that great. And it's amazing. He always was there to bail me out of trouble. It's amazing how there was one, which my children will hear after I'm dead, story about an alcohol incident. And the best thing was I got in trouble, but my mother found a bottle of alcohol, and it was legal for Richie, in his drawer in a wrestling knee pad. And that was the best thing, because I was the one who had screwed up. And my father blamed Richie, yelling, "We never had alcohol in this house until you brought it in here." So he covered my butt that time. But the one thing I do hate him for, and our friend Barry is with us, Richie was the captain of the wrestling team when Barry and I were sophomores. And I know you don't see the physicality of Richie right now. What? Or me. Anyway, Richie was the captain, and one thing Richie could do, and I truly wish you could see it, he was such a, I can't say the word, but it rhymes with ick, that we would be doing push-ups in practice, and Richie could do push-ups 100. He could do one arm, two arms, backwards, forwards, and Barry and I'd be sitting in the back of the wrestling room yelling, "Just stop!" It was so, and at 50, he could still do one-arm push-ups like he was in the Rocky movies. But the biggest thing he ever got me on was on a back-to-school night. My father went to back-to-school night And yeah, you like this, don't you? You really like this one. Verifies that it's a true story. Hey, stop throwing things. The French teacher had Richie first period and had me 8th period. And Richie was like a really good student. He's like brilliant, you know, all that stuff. And the French teacher goes to my father, I have Richard first period, I have Kenneth 8th period. My day gets progressively worse. Really? All right, our first roaster of Richie is Mike Azarian. Mike moved, come on up here, Mike, what are you talking about? Mike moved here and lived across the street from us in the 1960s. We did AYF, we did Boy Scouts, we did a lot of things together. He even when I needed a date for a prom that I was chaperoning, he even let me take his wife. Susie, I know it's right. You don't have to yell. I was socially inept until I met my wife, thank God. We even had a little Armenian band until Mike threw us out of the band, but I'm not going there. Without further ado, Mike Azarian.
By the way, I didn't throw you out. Charlie Takushian threw you out.
Oh, see, I told you, don't disagree with me. Work with me. Oh my God.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Speak into the microphone.
All right. So, when they asked me to do this, I said, what am I going to say? We're old. What could be of any interest to anybody else? Right? And so they invited me to this Zoom meeting. So I get on the Zoom meeting, and those of you who use Zoom knows there's a gallery view. And the gallery view has pictures of everybody on there. So I'm in the meeting, and everybody's talking, and I'm kind of lost in thought about what I'm going to say. And I look in the corner and go, wow, that guy looks like my father in the corner. Then I said, oh my God, that's me. So anyway, that's how I got hooked into this thing. All kidding aside, Richard is a wonderful man, as Kenny mentioned, a pillar of our society. A wonderful son, brother, brother-in-law, husband, great father to his sons. He's an excellent legal professional. He is reliable, supportive friend, and of course a dedicated servant to the Armenian Church. I'd call that a great life resume. Rich is known, as Kenny was saying, for his incredible smarts. Some people say he's a genius. But sometimes, and I mean sometimes, when you ask him a question, you have to be prepared. It feels like he graduated from the top of his class at the School of Overthinking. Have you ever asked Rich a question on just ask them for simple directions to go anywhere? Most people, they say, you know, go down this road, make a left, make a right, you know, at the light, go ahead. Real simple, straightforward. If you ask Rich, he will give you an incredible amount of detail, more detail than you can imagine. He would tell you the exact mileage to a meter on the directions. He'd tell you all of the sights that you should recognize as you're driving down that. He would tell you which places are open for visitation, the times of the visitation, excuse me, and more detail than you can imagine. So, anyway, but Rich is brilliant, and we know it. I would call him a walking Rand McNally Atlas or a walking Encyclopedia Britannica, because he's so well versed in everything. So I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience. Many of you will remember Richard was a young developing man. He had a zest for life and fun, a willingness to party with the best of us, and as Steve Martin would say, he was a wild and crazy guy. Mr. and Mrs. Sarajian would always take us to different places. And when we moved there, they were very good to us. They lived right across the street from us. So we were always going to an Armenian dance or to a basketball game or an AYF. Anyway, we're there. We come to the Sarajian's house. Those of you who know that house, they have a vestibule. They have stairs that go straight upstairs. Now, this is in the early, I want to say late 60s, early 70s. I think I'm about 15 years old. My sister's with me. She's 12. So she's a young teenager. We're running a little late. We're standing in the vestibule looking up the stairs. And we're hearing, and Rich is singing. He is in the shower. We can hear him belting out tunes, getting ready, etc. We're waiting patiently. He comes out, he's in great spirits. He is in a towel. Now, visualize this. We're at the bottom, looking up the stairs. He's got the towel on, and he's doing every kind of movement that you can imagine. So proud of himself. My sister's looking at me, I'm looking at her, and the towel drops. There he is, in all his glory, standing there, naked as imagined, and, rather revealing, I would say. Needless to say, my sister and I never forgot that. And whenever we're at the same place, she always pulls me, she goes, remember when Richie dropped the towel? That's over 50 years ago. Anyway, so I digress a little bit. But it was a lot of fun. So that kind of illustrates the type of guy he was. So another story comes to mind. I was really searching the old mental archives. So Richie was, and I don't quite remember, but he was doing a paper route. Do you remember paper routes? Okay. Well, he had a bicycle. He had those big baskets on the back of it. They were like saddlebags, and he would load the papers in there. That'd be a ton of papers. I mean, I don't know, 50, 100 papers in that. And one day he said, Mike, why don't you come with me? And I'm trying to remember whether it was I was interested in doing a route myself or I was going to back him up because he was involved in so many sports. So what I didn't know was the route that Richie had. So I get there and I follow him. And for those of you who know River Edge, know Monroe Avenue. And Monroe first starts up from where the ShopRite is. You go up a little hill, but then you go in and between Bogut Road and Elm. There's a hill, you go whipping down, which is great, right? You got the momentum, no problem, and then you have to go back up to Elm. You go back up to Elm, I'm following Rich. Now, Rich is in shape. Kenny said he was in unbelievable shape. He's no problem, riding a bike. I'm trying to keep up with him. I'm a city kid. What do I know about paper routes and bicycles? That was just the beginning, though. Then we get to Elm and have to go up to 5th. And Richie starts going up, and that hill is unbelievable. It is like this. And Richie is just gliding back and forth. He says, come on, Mike, follow me. I get to the top. I'm exhausted. I'm dying. I can't breathe and anything. And the reason I mention this is because Richie had a big influence on me on what I planned to do with working. After that, I decided I now wanted no part of a paper route. And that's how I ended at ShopRite. Worked there for 7 years. I have to say thanks to Rich for that. So, you all know Rich went to Colgate, right? And Colgate is, I don't know, about 40 miles from Syracuse. My wife Suzanne is from Syracuse. We met at the 1970 Olympics in Montreal. So Richie was close, so when they'd have church events and things, he would go over to Syracuse and he'd see them. So he knew the route. He knew my girlfriend. So we were down at the shore. I think we were visiting the Sarajians at their shore house. And I used to love those games, the board games on the shore, you know, you put the 50 cents, well, back then it was a quarter, and now I think it's $5. I went past one game, I was losing everything, I went past one game, and there was a big wheel, and to make a long story short, I saw the name Susie on it. So I said, what now? So I put the money down, and I win. What do I win? I won a 5-foot tall stuffed bird that was bright red and yellow. Huge stuffed animal. It was enormous. Literally, it was this whole. I'm saying, how am I going to get this to Sue? My friend Rich volunteered. He drove that bird from River Ridge, actually from the shore, all the way up to Syracuse. Now just picture Richie in the car with a 5-foot bird sitting next to him in the passenger seat. Can you imagine if he got pulled over by a policeman? What would his response been to that? Anyway, it's just another illustration of what a great guy he was and how he would help out a friend at any point in time. Now comes the Olympics. Everybody's got lots of Olympics stories. Okay, so we go to the Olympics. It was one of those times that I shared a room with Rich, and we went up there. We were prepared. We had our dumbags. We had alcohol. We were playing our dumbags to the music. People were coming and drinking and having a great time. A friend of ours, Doug Collagen, some of you may know him, had a cousin, Ed Bart.
Ed Bart.
Ed Bart. Ed Bart was really, he wasn't in the United States a long time. He was kind of awkward. And, the Olympics were known for everybody, drinking and partying. Let's be honest. So he had a little bit too much to drink. He got hammered. And he fell between the bed and the wall of the hotel room. He was wedged, and back then the beds didn't move. So he was wedged in there. Richie and I had enough to drink ourselves. We're trying to get him out of there. We're laughing so hard. You know, you get weak when you laugh. We could not get Ed Bart out. And it took us, I don't know, an hour or two, and a couple of other guys came to the room to get the guy out of there. And I'll never forget that because it was a hysterical time, and it just goes to show you what a good guy he is. So, while this gentleman here sits here before you, a revered man of society and propriety, our mutual friend was at one time a wild and crazy guy. While collective intent is to roast him today, we should all feel great to know him. I know I do, and I'm very pleased to be able to call him a friend. Thank you.
Are you proud of yourself?
And it was Southern Comfort they were drinking, for those of you who wanted to know. Okay.
Wait a minute. You guys know Greg Nadurian, right?
Yeah.
And Doug, well, Ed Bart was, Richie just reminded me of something the entire weekend. Dougie would say to Ed Bart, "Are you proud of yourself?" The poor guy had such a hangover, I think he missed the rest of the Olympics, the whole 2 days. Richie just reminded me of it.
Of course, because Richie doesn't forget anything. And you were talking about his directions. Not only can he tell you all the places to stop, but he'll tell you where the KFC is, where the pizza place is, and all that stuff. And he still doesn't know the one time when I was driving behind, he didn't know I was behind him. And I'm following him. He's on 304 going to his house, and all of a sudden he pulls in and he's stopping at the KFC before he goes home. And I was right behind you, and I'm beeping at you. Hey, you know, got some wings to chomp on as he's going home. James. I note 40 years ago, this young man, Jim Kennelly, married our sister. And how lucky we were, how lucky she was. There is nothing negative to say about him. We're fortunate to have him in the family. Tall, handsome. Look at him. Look at the way he dresses, as opposed to me and my brother. And the beautiful thing about him is, he is such a big hit at wakes and funerals. Standing straight, dressed nicely, black suit, Irish fellow. All the people thinks he's one of the pallbearers. Without further ado, my brother-in-law, Jim Kennelly.
Thank you very much, Ben. I've been raised Irish Catholic. I'm used to taking abuse in a church, so I'm really happy to be here today. For the sake of this afternoon, I'm going to refer to my brother-in-law Ken as the Spare. I also just want to say, Mike, good job, Mike. You know, Mike looked really good, didn't he? He's lost a lot of weight. Mike puts on weight and loses weight almost as often as he and Suzanne buy his family homes or build homes for his kids. Now I have to start with what I always start with whenever I speak in public, and that's, I'm really happy to be here, because I am. 50 years ago, I was an Odar boyfriend when I first came to St. Bartholomew's. And from Der Heid Sharinian to you, hi sir, and to everybody in the St. Bartholomew's community, I've always felt welcome and valued. And that's a great thing. So I appreciate it. But I have to admit, when I was asked to speak about my brother-in-law, Rich, I was a little nervous because if you know Rich and you know the Sarajians, they remember everything. Their memories are uncanny. They hash and rehash every Armenian activity and family event through generations. So I was worried what I would say today would get repeated and repeated endlessly. But my late father-in-law and mother-in-law, Dick and Arak Sarajian, taught us that when the church calls, you answer. And you always give your very best. So that's why I'm here today. Now, I'll be honest with you, the only other time I've ever spoken publicly in St. Bartholomew's was to say, Ayor Sirpazan Hai, at our wedding. Now, that was the smartest thing I ever said, and it had great results. Now, I doubt anything I say today will last as long, but let's try to build some rich Sarajian and Sarajian family memories, shall we? Now, they've already touched on how Rich is a man of few words. Oh, but when he gets started, buckle up. It's going to be a filibuster. Now, Mike touched on driving directions with Rich. You know, forget Google Maps, forget Waves. He's got a GPS inside his brain. He can get you from anywhere to anywhere with amazing alternate routes. But now I want to talk about his car. His vehicle is a moving archaeological dig. It's a rolling time capsule. Somewhere between a fast food drive-in restaurant and a newspaper recycling bin. He's got bags and napkins from franchises that are long gone. Howard Johnson, Steak and Ale, Lums, they're all in there. The newspapers, his beloved New York Mets. If you want to know about the 1986 Mets, they're in there. Just dig down a little bit. You have to go past all 4 years of Chico Resch in the goal for the Devils. But you can find it. If you took all the paper in Rich's car and Rich's home and you stacked it up, the pile would be higher than Ararat, Rich. You know, sometimes people say the clothes make the man. Oh, the clothes make the man. Not always. Not always. Rich is trying to bring back the 70s. Have you seen the sports t-shirt tucked in the pants with a belt? And the Sarajian family classic. Dress, short sleeve shirt, tie, and a blazer. Nothing up my sleeve. Oh yeah. Now have you seen the lime green or peach polo shirt? Oh yeah. Now you might think it's his eyesight. Oh, it's his eyesight. He can't see. Oh no, that's not it. That's not it at all. It's the rich Sarajian physique. One year I joked that at Christmas we should buy Rich the last 2 inches of all his neckties so they could finally reach his belt. That was a fat joke for you, Spur. Aimed at Rich. It's about time. But the real kicker is when he's down the beach house, on his stomach, no shirt, Vardy's, black socks, slowly turning the newspaper, devouring minutiae. It's half alarming and half enchanting. If the Armenian Olympics had a contest for sitting in your underwear, the Sarajian men would sweep the podium. Now at this point, I wanted to alert the committee that if they need some time to get a step stool or a box up here for our next speaker, so we can see him, this might be a good time to do it. Have you heard this one? Armenians can't agree on anything. Oh, you've never heard this, right? Armenians cannot agree on anything. I've heard it in this room. I've heard it when my wife has an ARS Zoom meeting. Armenians can't agree on anything. Pilaf, Carolinas, Uncle Ben's. Do you stir the pot? Leave the pot alone. I'm going to tell you there's one thing that Armenians everywhere can agree on. From Rochelle Park to Glendale and back, all Armenians can agree that the Sarajians marry well. Oh my goodness, do they marry well? And did Rich ever marry well? Now, Nora doesn't like to be called a saint. But she deserves a medal for putting up with Rich's antics. Now, as the senior member of the Pesa Sarajian Club, and oh yeah, we have a club. It's more of a self-help group. Trying to figure out ways to stay out of the shundun. But I'll share this and close with this. There's one universal truth when it comes to being in a Sarajian household. If you let Rich have the last word, it's not out of courtesy. It's just a survival strategy. I just wanted to add that it's a blessing to be in a family that loves their heritage. Rich, you are a remarkable character. Your impact on our lives is immeasurable. And we wouldn't have it any other way. Congratulations.
I'll tell you, he's more Armenian than a lot of people you know. I'll tell you that now. Give it up for Jimmy one more time. Where are you going? Did I ask for you yet? Nice to get dressed up. Oh, God.
You should be talking. They're pretty equal.
Hi, sir. You enjoying this? So, I do have to tell one Dick Sarajian story because Jimmy sort of touched on it, and it has to do with when Carol and Jimmy were dating. Because Carol knows where I'm going with this. And it actually goes back to Grandpa Cotchety, but we won't go that far back. But my father got up at 5 in the morning, took the bus into the city. He'd come home, and all he wanted to do was relax, sit in front of the TV in his lounge chair, and truly relax. And Richie reminded me the other day that we talk about how hard kids work, and the kids all tell us they're working hard. When they expanded the shop and bought another shop, I don't know, for 3 or 4 years, my dad, one of the owners, worked the night shift. Heidi did it too for a couple of years also. They all did. They all took their turn doing it. And Richie and I were wrestling at the time. My father would go into the city, start the shift, come home for the wrestling match, and then go back to work till about 2 or 3 in the morning. But when he came home, as Jimmy pointed out, he liked to sit in his Vardies. And whenever Jimmy was coming over, my mother would get the Afghan and put it over his lap. And make my father sit with the Afghan on his lap. And the problem was, the poor guy wanted to go to bed, but he couldn't get up because he was in his underwear. So he had left the legs to him, left the house. All right, here we go. Can you hand me, do I have a sheet someplace? Paper anywhere? Is that the one? Yeah. Oh, it's that one. All right, come on over here, Heidi.
Hey.
Can't do anything yet. So here he is. I got one question. Are you going to talk about the ranking system?
Maybe, yeah.
Are you or are
Real
you?
quick, yeah.
Okay. Well, this is Haik Sarajian, number 4 of the Sons. None of the 3 other brothers wanted to be the guy speaking tonight, so they paid for his ticket to fly here from California.
If that was true, I'd be a lot happier.
Look at this face. Look at this. This is cute little Haik. Everybody loves cute little Haik. Oh, he's so sweet. He's a devil.
You got nothing written there.
And your father will tell you I've given many speeches that way, and I teach most of my classes that way. But here's the one thing. He's a pain in the ass. Yeah. But the beauty of Hyde is that when Stephen gets married in a couple months, Hyde's going to be the best man. Which tells you one of 2 things. Either Haig is that special, or Stephen really has no friends.
Thanks.
You want me to take shots at you?
There's 3 other brothers.
But they're not here. And you can't say anything about Ada. You got a wonderful wife with 2 little beautiful girls.
I think you got a seat right there. How's that? Good?
Good. Is that low enough?
Is that low enough? You know what? How about a round of applause for my Uncle Kenny? Great job. Unbelievable job. It's great to be up here with my family, my dad, my Uncle Kenny, my Uncle Jimmy. Going after him is tough. I've always thought of him as my funniest uncle. Yeah? Truth hurts?
John, he's sorry. He didn't mean to offend you. Nice job, though.
Yeah. Uncle Mike, great to have you here. I had no idea you grew up with my father. He never talks about you. Anyway, I've been thinking about this moment for a while. When they asked me, I remember thinking, I just pray to God Avi Alashan is not on the panel with us. Never in my life did I expect to be here at Saint Spartanans roasting my dad in front of Harsur. But it is great to be here. It's been so much fun hearing all the stories. Everyone looks great. Dad, I love what you've done with your hair. How did you get it to come out of your nostrils like that? You know, in true lawyer fashion, my dad gave me a list of 200 things not to mention. You guys broke a lot of them, so thank you. But, you know, I looked at him and I said, pay for my flight, and you have an agreement. So I think we have a verbal, we'll see. But I flew in yesterday, like Uncle Kenny said. The brothers did not pay. Let's just get that out of the way, all right? I paid. I'm hoping I get reimbursed. Anyway, I flew in yesterday, and I wanted to spend the day bonding with my dad. You know, I'm gonna shred him in a minute, and so just make sure he still loves me. So, you know, all day I'm filling up his cup of water. I'm cracking pistachios for him. I put on his favorite movie at night. We're watching Pitch Perfect together. It's beautiful, beautiful. Throw in a continental breakfast, and this man is on the vacation of his life. He needs a vacation. He's getting old. 72. 72 going on 90. As you know, my dad is a lawyer. My brothers and I have all, at one time or another, worked for the firm. We've also all been represented by the firm. Thank you for all the pro bono work. Rafi wouldn't be here without me. It's tough. It's a hostile environment at the office, truly. It's tough having a father as a lawyer. I would not recommend it. I remember one time I was in high school. All week long, I'm getting ready for a big speech senior year. He's got a big trial on Friday, same day. We're working equally as hard, you know. And Friday comes around, there's great energy. You know, I'm feeling good. I get to class. It's 10 a.m. and he calls me. And I'm thinking, this man just crushed it. You know, he just won this, and he's calling me to brag. And I picked up the phone, and he goes, "Where are you?" And you like feel his lip curl. Like if you've ever seen him get mad, there's a vein that pops out. And I was like, I'm in school, I'm in class, what's up? And he said, "Get home right now." And I'm thinking, what is going on? Dad, I'm in class, I have the speech in 20 minutes. And he goes, "Nothing you are doing or ever will do is as important as this moment. I'm locked out of the house and I need to get inside." Nice guy. Great confidence boost right there. You know? He's funny. When he told me, you know, that I'm coming out here to do this, I said, "Oh, really interesting. You have 3 sons that live within a 10-minute radius of you. Why did you choose the dyslexic one that's 3,000 miles away? Please explain." He said, "It's because I love you." Real nice guy. But let me tell you, as Uncle Kenny said, the rankings, they're very obvious if he likes you or not. Okay, very obvious. A quick example. All of this is based on your potential, any recent accomplishments. So, quick example, in the last 2 years, I moved across the country and my company is bankrupt. My brother Ara moved 10 minutes away from my parents, bought a house, had 2 wonderful kids, his team won a championship. Must be nice. You know? Well, great. I used to enjoy the top spot when I was younger. It was fun. I remember we would go to Devils games together. You remember this? We'd all go, we'd get to the arena, and he'd look at Ada and Rafi and say, "Hey, here are your tickets. I'll meet you right here at the end of the game." I don't know what that was about, but we get to the seats, 5 rows away from the ice. It's amazing. I say, "Dad, where are Ada and Rafi?" He said, "I don't know." I'd say, "Are they okay?" He said, "I think, point to the top of the arena. I think they're somewhere up there." Not a worry in the world. He'd slap me on the arm. "How great is this, man?" I love when my dad calls me. It's always, you have no idea what's gonna happen. But nowadays, it is mainly just to talk about Wordle. He loves it. He plays it every day. It's our little thing. He'll call me and he'll say, "Oh, I got it in 3 today," and I'll say, he talks smack. I'll say like, "Oh, it took me 4," and he'll say like, "Figured," I'm like, makes sense. It's me, And if I get it on the same one, he's like, "Wow, I'm surprised." Where's that coming from? He reads nonstop, the newspaper, book after book. It's insane. He knows every word. He's read every book. I just finished a book, Dad. It's called The Perfect Party Guest. I'm 99% sure you have not read that book. I'll give it to you. I'll let you have that. As much as my dad loves giving directions, his love for MapQuest, oh my God, the pinnacle of technology for this man. He's getting better. Nowadays, he's got his hearing aids connected to his phone. He's getting there. If he gets a call or he's watching the game, you have no idea. He's just zoned out. He has no idea who else is in the room often. I remember the first time I introduced my girlfriend, Lucine. She is, we're having dinner, we're hanging out, and she's like, "Wow, this is going so great." So she's telling a story, and in the middle of the story, my dad goes, "Are you kidding me?" And he's just so deep into the Jets game that nobody has, and she's like freaking out. I'll wrap up soon, but before I do, I want you to know how many people reached out to me with so many stories and dirt. It's like they were holding on to it for 60 years. Keddy calls me every day since January. He's been calling me. It's ridiculous. You also gave me a piece of advice often. You gave me this probably once a week, where you said, "Hi, you can't just get by on your good looks." You were wrong. You were wrong. Let me just, all right? Also, if I knew being a lawyer meant you get to take as many naps as this man, I would have tried harder. I would have. My Uncle Heige, everyone, a quick round of applause for my Uncle Heige, the best. He actually gave me a great story that truly embodies my dad. It was when they were younger. My dad was 5 or 6 years old, and my Uncle Heige, yes, you know the story. You were there, yeah. So my dad's 5 or 6 years old. My Uncle Heige's going to take him out for the day. So they go get lunch. The plan is to go to the Yankees game, but in between that, they go fishing. And they catch a fish, and my Uncle Heige says, "All right, that was great, let's put it back." And my dad insists. He says, "No, we're keeping it." And, my Uncle Heige, smart guy, "Richie, we can't do that, But my dad, lawyer, 5 years old, doesn't let it down. So the two of them get a bucket, they put the fish in, and they go to the Yankees game and have a great time. 4 hours later, they come back. The car has the worst scent in the world. And I asked my Uncle Heige, I said, you're so smart. How could you let that happen? And he said, "You know your father. It doesn't matter how young he was. He's the same ever since." So that's the majority of it. I want to take this time to also say how much we love and respect you. And through the laughter, we want to honor you for all you've done, and you've made everyone's lives richer. You're a true gentleman and an inspiration to us all, and thank you.
In case any of you are confused, that last bit that he just said, "we love, respect," that's just trying to get him to pay for the flight. But I'm going to digress. Tomorrow's going to be a rough day at school. it reminded me of one story before I allow Rich to speak. And it just shows how the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And when Otto was, I don't know, 2 or 3 years old, and I guess Nora was about to have Rafi, and Trish had this great idea. Let's take Otto to the beach with us. Talk about Richie and directions. And after a little while, Otto was not happy. I want to go home. I want to go see my mommy. I want to go home. I was like, we'll give you ice cream, just shut up. We get in the car, and now at maybe 3 years old, how much older is it, 3 years? Otto's in the car, and he's telling us, you take the Garden State Parkway, true story, Trish will take the Garden State Parkway, you go up there, you make a right when you get off, then you make a left, the same kid. All right, Richie, it's your turn, here you go.
Should I turn my hearing aids on now? Are you guys finished? When I go to court and I tell people, I take off my glasses to read my papers and then I can't see the judge. I don't have my hearing aids working, I can't hear the witnesses, and I need my cane to walk. And I'm like, the guys in the back are probably saying, look at Sarajian, what's he still doing in the courtroom? He can't see, he can't hear, he can't walk. It's tough. But anyhow. First, I'd like to recognize Harshrup as our leader here today and guiding us all down the righteous path. The Board of Trustees, I thank them. I was a little disturbed when I heard Antranik say that Zarmar agreed to do this. He actually gave Zarmar a choice and he didn't give me one. So when I said I didn't want to do it, he said, you have to do it, you have no choice. And when I said, well, but I'm going to the ARS dinner on the day that you want to do the roast, he moved the day of the roast. So, thank you all. And for Jimmy, I'm blessed with a wonderful family, beautiful brother-in-laws and sisters-in-law. They're here today, all of them, and a wonderful brother and sister, and I thank God for that.
I was waiting for you. You were talking about them. I was waiting for you to say something.
Well, the problem is this is being videotaped. So most of my material is not usable. You know, and the people from, some of the people from Wyckoff are here that we call Highcoff, you know. That's the way it was in River Edge with Barry and Jackie and everything, and a real Armenian group, Mike, Zaven. We were all hanging out together constantly in high school and everything, and it was a wonderful time. And Mike is right. I mean, he moved across the street. We had a wonderful time. We worked at ShopRite. Cars. Mike Azarian always played with cars. He always had a car in his driveway that he was doing. And most of you probably don't know is he really is a member of Hell's Angels. He's got he's got his Harley and he rides, and it's a wonderful thing. And we've been friends for many years. And first we partied together, then we played basketball together, then we partied together again. He's right. I went up to Syracuse. Actually, Mike would come up to visit Syracuse, and I go up there for the dances too. Now, we don't have much to do together. We sit there and we talk about how tired we get watching and playing with our grandchildren. We're old, Mike. And remember, I bought you that cup a couple years ago. Old guys rule. And that's what we do. My brother-in-law, Jim. Thank God he's around, because we have help getting stuff from the tall shelves. You know, and he's always available to drive us. We went to Ireland for a destination wedding, and he's Irish, of course. And there I really learned that his 4 food groups are baked potatoes, French fries, mashed potatoes, and scalloped potatoes, Guinness, and Jameson. But it's been an honor to have him in our family, and it's been a wonderful ride. It's been great for our sister and our whole family. Which brings us to Hike. And a lot of my material was stolen. Like, the boys gave me something about your family, Mike, about A's, Azarian, Adam, Alex. But B stole that, or Armstrong stole that for Zarmar with the Z's, so I couldn't use it. And the rankings we will get to, even though Armin mentioned the rankings of their family. But little do you know that young Hike is a Sunday school dropout. He's the only Sarajian boy that did not graduate from the St. Svartanat Sunday School. It's always been a major disappointment. And we've been trying to get him into one of those GED courses so he could finish. And, you know, most of you don't know that book that Kenny was talking about that Uncle Heige wrote. So Heige was not the most studious guy. And I was reminded of this only a year ago because I met this teacher. And we went to one of Nora's co-workers' daughter was playing tennis against Spring Valley. So we went to Spring Valley High School and we met this teacher because he was there because he was coaching the tennis team. So Heige did not do his summer project for his senior year. You know, you got all summer to do this. Doesn't do. And he goes into class, and the teacher asks him, he knows the story, that's have you ever been with Kenny when he's had his laughing fits? We went to see Blazing Saddles, and the theater, almost everybody left because he couldn't stop laughing. So, Heige goes in. Heige goes into the English professor, the writing professor, and the guy says, "Did you read these books?" He says, "No." "Why didn't you read these books?" "Well, I spent the summer writing a book about my family." And the professor doesn't believe him. He says, yeah, I wrote a book by Heige Sarajian. So Nadine had put the book on Amazon. So the next day the professor comes in and he says, "I can't believe it, I looked you up. There's actually a book on Amazon by Heige Sarajian. I'm gonna buy it." Heige says, "You don't have to buy it. I'll give you an autographed copy." And we finished laughing. So, and I also want to congratulate Zarmar. It's an honor to be honored with you. We've worked together for many, many years. And now we get to the rankings. Armin raised this before about his family. Who did they like best? He said nobody. And people have been giving me hints all the time, you know, for this program. And it went up and down, you know, like you said, sometimes Anna's number one. For those of you at the wedding, you remember I announced that Alice was now number one. And now it's really, in truth, it's Lucina and Tala are tied for number one. Lucy. Anyhow, so the ranking system sort of started out of the boys wanted a game, one of those Nintendo games or whatever that was coming out. And I said to them, and my sister criticized me, she said, "Rich, when you were young and you were in law school and college and stuff, you had every one of the best tech games. You had the first Atari, you had the first this. I had a friend who actually brought his son over to my house, unannounced, to beat his son at Atari. And he was rooting against his son. It was terrible. So they wanted something. So we made a chart and I said, you have to earn it. So collectively, you have to get 150 points. And you can get a point for an A, you can get a point for something athletic, church basketball, whatever. You could always earn a point. So this chart sort of started the ranking system. And at that point, they needed 150 points. Gatto earned 200 points. The problem was Hyde was minus 25, Rafi was minus 10, Rafi was minus 15. So they needed the 200 points that Gatto got. So at that point, they all felt Gatto was number one. And when Rafi got his touchdowns, oh, okay, Rafi's number one. Now, Hyde's got Otto's got grandchildren, he's number one. The truth of the matter is they're all tied for number one. And Otto actually suggested I come here with a sign and say, hi, after this, you're now number 4. But I can't do that. I can't do that. And my wonderful wife, Nora, she's been worried about how I'm going to do this all day. You remember when she married me, everybody changed her name. It didn't become Nora Sarajian. It became Poor Nora. So I thank all of you. It's been an honor to be honored. And I have a wonderful brother, wonderful sister, wonderful family, and I had wonderful parents and grandparents that helped everything happen, and a lot of wonderful friends who are here today. Thank you. Where's Mike Sarajian? He and I did that last week.
Mike's in the back.
Where you going? Sit
You're gonna get your
down.
standing
Did I tell you to
ovation.
leave? Please give it up for Rich Sarajian. Really quickly as we close, I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank Rich and Zarmar for being the men that they are. I will make another plug that we do some women next year. You think I'm taking a break here? This happens in class all the time when the kids go, Siraj, wake up. Where was I? Women. Yeah, that always distracts me. See, quick comeback, huh, Steve? I do want to make 2 more plugs for, look at, what's your name? Lucine is holding number 1. I do want to make another plug for the church's 65th anniversary on May 19th. I hope you will all join us also for that event, and also on April 20th, 4 o'clock at Huff Park in Montvale for our commemoration. We have a wonderful program. And as we close, I'd like to invite Haishrup up here for some closing remarks. Haishrup.
Thank you, Kenny, for a wonderful job that you did. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I want to take this moment to congratulate both our honorees or roastees, Zarmar and Richard, that thank them for their service and also accepting to be roasted. Thank you again and congratulations. I also want to thank our 6 people who agreed to roast diligently. I know there was a couple of hiccups. Even in the best meal you can get a hiccup, so that's fine. If you put a lot of spice in there. But thank you for a great job you did. I also want to thank the committee who worked very hard to put this event together, and you see how successful event it is. So thank you, committee, for taking this and making it a big success. I also want to thank each and every one of you coming here, being part of this event, being part of this church, being part of this wonderful people's life, because you made their lives that they are today. So you are part of this story, you are part of this Rose story, so thank you for coming and thank you for being their families or friends. And also I realized that there were a couple of people going around to reserve seats for next year, just to make sure we are not going to be roasted, me or Sarajian. It was just a joke. It was just a joke. We're not going to be roasted. I hope so. All right. Once again, thank you for coming. And this was a wonderful event. Thank you, Antranik, and all the committee members for putting this together. And please, stand ovation for our both roasties, Richard, Sarajian, and Karma Sarajian. Thank you. Have a great day.